Ask Reddit says there's a massive trend on LinkedIn talking about B2C style brand marketing and B2B these days. In my experience, there's no distinction between brand and demand gen marketing until you reach a significant ARR. I'm curious to hear what others think. What's your take on that, Tom?
Well, I mean, I kind of come a bit more from like the B2C background and more of a brand like creative guy. So I think, of course, brand marketing is the most important part. Really, it's a way for companies to establish themselves in the market and like have a really strong perspective about what is needed for their clients in a marketplace.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think where it kind of where it might split off and be a little bit different is, traditional brand marketing is around creating attention and grabbing that attention, creating awareness. Whereas, really demand generation in the B2B space is not just like raising your hand saying, "Here's who I am, recognize me," but really like addressing and highlighting some of the pains that they may be experiencing and driving that brand affinity as being able to offer up solutions. So kind of taking a little bit of a difference between traditional brand marketing and demand generation in a B2B setting where you're really leveraging that demand gen to create brand, especially early on where you may not have a lot of budget to center around brand, but really in a way that helps guide people through a buying process to help alleviate some of those pains they're experiencing.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I get concerned about with B2B brands talking about brand marketing is the trap that most of them fall into is they view brand as a way for them to tell the world about themselves. Where I think that's one thing that's pretty unique about demand gen and something that can be brought into brand is really coming at it from a client's perspective of like what they need to see out of a brand and then formulating the brand to kind of match what the client needs, both from a solution to their problem, but also from a messaging and conversation point of view.
Yeah, I think when a lot of people talk about brand, I think it scares a lot of people off, right? And the main reason for that is it's really difficult to track the impact of brand. How do you track the ROI of brand, right? And I think that's where some people lean a little more towards maybe some more direct response marketing, where you threw a Google ad up there, you get a click, you get a sale, and it's very easy to track. I think where demand generation really fits in is trying to mesh the two so they're not at odds with each other in a way that incorporates some of the brand development, but also in a way that has some ROI, even if it's not directly tracked through direct attribution.
How do you think about like how a company can use demand gen tactics to build their brand? Like what are some of the key components that you see in good demand gen that translate easily over to brand?
Yeah, that's a great question. So much of brand is about like establishing yourself as a key leader and being recognizable. In demand generation, our approach is whenever we create content, it's always centered around a unique point of view. And so by establishing that unique point of view, you establish yourself as a true leader, thought leader in the space that really creates kind of a differentiator for you. So in that way, having that unique point of view makes you recognizable and helps you cut through the noise, which in turn helps to build your brand. You recognize the ability to recognize you and the ability to take action from that unique point of view.
Yeah, I think that key idea of a unique point of view is really something that I mean, not just brand, but any other part of marketing machine can take as a key component of their messaging and figure out how to transform that for the specific channel or level of the funnel that people are marketing within.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you there.
You have any further thoughts about like B2C style brand marketing in the B2B space?
Yeah, I think there's a tremendous influence of B2C on the B2B space. I think B2C is generally 5-10 years ahead of B2B and how it approaches marketing, and I think that B2C, I think you're going to see a lot of those trends come to fruition in the B2B space. Things like it took B2B brands forever to realize, hey, you're not marketing to a company, you're marketing to a person, and so you've got to appeal to the individual. I think you're seeing kind of this evolution of influencers and how B2B brands are starting to look at how to leverage influencers in the B2B space. Even right down to social media. B2B brands were very slow compared to B2C brands, and adopting social media as a means of truly marketing and trying to figure out where their audience lives and how to actually leverage social media in their marketing efforts.
It's really interesting. Like, B2B brands are a lot more sophisticated in the overall customer journey, I think. But B2C brands have quite a bit to teach about being really efficient in shortening the sales cycle, because most B2C brands probably aren't really dealing with sales reps or any sort of outreach. It's just basically whatever the paid ad or the paid channels or the organic channels driving to the purchase much faster. So it's interesting to see how that kind of translates into a B2B world where there are still other components of the customer journey in play.
Yeah, I'm curious from you, Tom. You know, you're a real B2C expert. I'm curious to hear from you. Like, what is B2B missing out on that you think the B2C space is gonna bring to the table?
But you kind of hit on it, like with influencers or kind of really personifying the brand and becoming a conversational partner in this relationship between brands and potential clients. Like, with B2B, there's very little, in my experience, brand talking to individual clients. It's a lot more sales rep of the brand talking. Where in B2C, you have a lot more conversations going on organically in social, or just more generally directly from the brand to the client, driving them towards that ultimate goal.
Yeah, yeah, I see that as well. I see the personalization really becoming a key part of B2B strategy.